The next topic that is the revolution and everyday life. Can politics change us the lives of people or clothes of the people they wear or the language they speak or books they read? Isn't it? Yes, it was happened in the year 1789. France witnessed this type of experience. And here the government or the revolutionary government of the France passed a law. All the revolutionary changes that was happened in France that would translate or the ideas major ideals of French Revolution that would be translated to and practiced to everyday life of the people. That's the major ideas of French Revolution. That's the liberty and equality that practiced into everyday life of the people. It was the one of the major law passed by the revolutionary government. I am repeating the revolutionary government in France. They passed the law that would translate the ideals of liberty and equality to everyday life of the people. Here, the one of the important law that came into effect in France that it was the abolition of censorship. And the abolition of censorship, the law was came into effect immediately after the storming of the Bastille prison in the year 1789. Before the French Revolution, the old regime or the old government, they passed or they introduced the law. Whatever the law that is whatever published by the people, it may be newspapers, books, journals, review, or any folk dramas, folk song, whatever that have to be published by people, the approval of the king is necessary. Only after the censor of king, the materials or whatever the materials is published. Now the during the time or after the French Revolution, now the rights, freedom of speech and expression is considered to be the natural rights and inalienable rights. Earlier times, the people do not have freedom of speech and expression. Now the people have the right to criticize any events they were against. They can explain or they can argue any events against of them. So there's no restriction on the freedom of speech and expression. The freedom of speech and expression is granted by the government. Wherever the people they were live, they have the freedom to speech and expression of any events. They can criticize any events and that can be published in newspapers or journals. And there is no restrictions at all. Each of the people they can criticize or opposing view can be expressed in public place, and processions, demonstration all were conducted. There was no restriction. That means in the year 1789, the revolutionary government abolished censorship. Before the old regime, they were practiced the censorship. Whatever had to be published, all the publication needed or approval needed the approval of king, that is the censor. Only after the censor each of the item can be published. It was the customs that was exist in France. Here you have the concluding part, that is the Napoleon Bonaparte. In 1804, the Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself as the Emperor of France. He himself considers a modernizer, or his role is considered to be a modernizer of Europe. And he attacked many of the neighboring countries of France. Wherever his family members they lived, all the places are invaded by Napoleon. The Napoleon introduced a lot of revolutionary changes in France. That's one of the Napoleonic Code. And different revolutionary changes that was introduced by Napoleon. They are uniform system of laws was introduced, and system of or laws of protection of private property, and uniform system of custom duties and decimal system, etc. were introduced by Napoleon. So the people they considered as Napoleon as a liberator. But soon after, they realized that Napoleon is an invading force. That means he attacked all neighboring countries under his control. And in 1815, at Waterloo, the Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated.